I'm going to tell you a little bit about me. I want you to know that I'm a human being, just like you are. That I bleed blood just like you do. That I was once a student like you are now. That I went to college like I hope that you did. I'm going to tell you about me. My name, Mr. Pettit, actually comes from France. The word Pettit is an Anglicized or Americanized version of petit, which means small or little. You can still find the petite section at the mall. It is the women's section. So, if you were to walk around and look for the women's section, in there you'll find the petite section, which is for the little women and the clothes that they wear. Not French clothes, just what they wear. And yeah, I actually had a kid who sat right over here one day. Like all year long, he called me Mr. Women's Section. It was not my favorite nickname. This is me and my daughter several years ago. Truthfully, my life started when these two people met each other.
Who's that?
This is my mother and my father.
Oh.
Who do I look more like?
Your father. Mom.
Mom?
Yeah.
Some people said dad. Okay, cool. Truthfully, I'm a mix of both of them. See, they fell in love, and then they got married. This is my father and mother again. This is my grandmother and grandfather. Now, this lady was very particular. She made me call her grandmother. She was never grandmother. It was grandmother. And that was my mother's mother and my mother's father. Several years after they got married, I was born. So, no, I am not the blonde one.
Wait.
You're gracious people. No, I'm the baby in the front here. This is me. I got older. And as a kid, I loved Disney. Like, I thought that being an animator for Walt Disney Studios would be the coolest thing in the world. I loved to draw. I could draw for hours and hours and hours. I wanted to be. In fact, I even started this special club at school where we got to animate stuff because I just thought it was so cool. And then, after loving Disney for a while, I grew to really get into comic books. I thought comic books were super cool. My favorite superhero for a while was Batman. Now, I want you to take a look at my face. My brother Nate here, he's just happy to be here. But if you look at my face, you'll see closely that I wasn't just pretending to be Batman. I was Batman. and I know that, you know, the belt thing is a little weird, but I really was Batman back then. It was kind of a good time in my life, you know. Also, for a while, you know, I'd play Superman sometimes. I thought superheroes were really cool. Now, if you take a look at that building behind me, that was a house that my dad built. We lived in an apartment in Houston, Texas, and we were not very rich. In fact, the rent got so high, we couldn't afford to live there anymore. And so we had to leave. My dad didn't have a ton of money. He was working, doing some computers were brand new, and he was just playing around with some new computer stuff at NASA, which is like the space. He wasn't, you know, a fancy science job. He was just kind of a low-level computer person at NASA. But he decided that he was going to buy some land without a house on it, and he was going to build his own house. Yeah. So for a long time, we didn't have like running water. We didn't have electricity. We had like this pump thing. And like we put like these buckets under this like pump, and then like they would dump it on us, and that was our bath as kids. Like we didn't have a lot. My dad, after a while, got really tired of being poor. He was like, you know what, I'm done with this. And he tried and tried. It took him several times. He eventually made his way to medical school. And one of the reasons he was able to actually get in is because he had some experience with computers, and they didn't have a lot of doctors or people that want to be doctors, but also had some technology experience. Computers were new, and so he got in that way, and he became a doctor. Now, you've probably seen this before. Anybody ever had their eyes checked for glasses? This is what you call an optometrist. This is somebody who checks your vision to see if you need glasses and what kind of glasses to give you a prescription for glasses. But he actually became what's called an ophthalmologist. And so what he does is eye surgery. So this is actually my dad. I filmed him last summer. In the surgery room. He's the chief of surgery at the Grand Run Hospital now. He does very well, makes plenty of money, and his job is he cuts open people's eyeballs. He sucks up with a special little vacuum they break apart the old lens, they suck it up, and then they stick in a new lens into their eye. And yes, they are awake when they do this to you.
Oh.
True story. They give them these crazy eye drops and stuff to make it shot so they can't feel anything, but they are awake when that happens. There you go. My dad, being a doctor, which some of you, as I went around, said they would be interesting. A doctor's an interesting job. And I hope that when you think about whatever job you think about, you don't just think about it in terms of how much money it makes. My dad now makes a fair amount of money, but there's a lot of ups and downs involved with being a doctor. Example. A good thing. My dad came home today and told a story of this old lady that came into his office, and he gave her some drops, and they did like some laser stuff on her eye, and she came back later, and she just started to cry. And she said, Dr. Pettit, I have never been able to see my grandchildren before, and now I can see them for the first time. And that was a powerful, to be a doctor and actually give someone their sight, that's a powerful thing. At the same time, I remember one day mowing the lawn in my house in Oregon, and my dad drove up and he freaked out. He's like, you need eye protection, put on some safety goggles. And I'm like, what the heck? He's like, he was in the office, and this dad had been mowing his lawn. And this little, 3 or 4 year old girl was playing on the side, and he had been mowing, and a rock got cut in the lawnmower and shot out. And his little girl in the eye, she went blind. Couldn't save it. Sometimes you can give people their sight back, and sometimes you can't. The body's a crazy thing, and we don't have medicine and fixes for everything. And so you have good and you have the bad. My dad likes being an ophthalmologist and an eye surgeon because one reason is because there's not a lot of blood, and because people don't typically die. Like they go blind, he might have to take someone's driver's license away and say, sorry, you can't drive anymore because you can't see well, but they don't die in his office. If you're an ER doctor and a mom brings in her kid who can't breathe, and then the kid dies, you have to be a part of that. Or a regular doctor, or even a pediatrician, when a kid comes to you and they develop cancer, you try and help them, and they don't get better. And you have to go to the mom and dad and say, sorry, you didn't make it. I mean, those are hard things that doctors get to do sometimes. So when you think about a job, you want to think about all those different pieces of it. What do you really, really want? I love, as I told you earlier, I love to take people from being, maybe okay at something, and making them great at it. I love doing that. I want to make you guys good at everything we do. If we do animation or we learn about this, I want us to really get everything, and that's fun for me. I love being a teacher. When you think about what you love, maybe consider that as about the job you want to have. My parents are still together. They both live in Oregon still. This is my family. I'm the one on the right. I got older. I grew up in Oregon, went to high school in Oregon. This is me and the wife, some of my younger brothers. I went to BYU for a year. I loved BYU. This is a great college. And I don't think it had to be BYU. It could have been the University of Utah. It could have been UVU. College was great. And I'm going to tell you one reason why college is amazing and why you got to go. Let me tell you what. First of all, I met all these people at college. I didn't know any of them before. You get to meet lots of people at college, and what I love about it is you get to meet people like you. Because if you want to study dance because you love dance, when you go to college, you study dance. You take dance classes, and everyone in those classes really wants to be there learning dance. You ever go to school or have a class, even right now or in elementary school, and you have the kid in the back who's like, this is boring, what are we doing, blah, blah, blah. They kind of mess up stuff. Those kids do not exist in college. Everyone in your class wants to be in that class. It's amazing. My wife, she wanted to study art. And so she took lots of art classes. She learned stained glass. She learned clay. She learned watercolor. She learned oil. She learned drawing, figure drawing. All sorts of really cool stuff she got to do. And everyone in her classes wanted to learn all that same stuff. How many math classes did she take in college? 0.
Oh my gosh.
She didn't have to take math in college because what she went into didn't require any more math than she had already taken in high school. She got that taken care of in high school. In college, she was going to go into art. Artists don't need to have a ton of math in. I had another friend who wanted to become an engineer, and he took tons of math classes, and he loved it because his brain worked out when he loved that stuff. As a business teacher, I had to take 1 math class. Actually, I did college. Most people do college in 4 years. I took 5 years because I was kind of slow. But in 5 years of college, I took 1 math class. That was it. because I needed that for my class, for my major. So depending on what you want to go into, depends on the kind of class you take. And it's just really cool. Yeah.
Is there any math in history?
Is there any math in history?
Yes.
Probably not.
Oh, thank God.
But I don't know. So it depends on the college. If you take high enough level of math in high school, you probably will not have to take math in college. If you take enough in high school.
I have a question.
I'm going to do
Yeah.
math in college.
Is math involved in 3D animation?
Math is involved in 3D animation.
Really?
Yeah,
What
you will have to
kind?
do some. You probably won't. You won't have to do what the engineers do, but you will have to understand some elements of 3D animation. 3D animation is where you create things that exist in three-dimensional space. You'll have to understand x-axis and y-axis. You'll also have to understand tweening, which we can talk about later. You'll have to understand some functions and curves and things. Not a ton of math, but some. Yeah, you'll probably want some of that. You'll take a lot of art classes. A lot of computer art classes you'll take. And BYU actually has a really good, I think UVU has a pretty good one too, but BYU has some connection with Pixar.
Really?
Yeah.
Like
and,
what?
And they just, in fact, the GTI here at Granite School District, you can go to the GTI and they have this massive lab where they put you on Maya and they teach you how to do three-dimensional cartoons. And they take a field trip every year down to Pixar, where they go and they yeah, it's a part of the high school class. You can do that in high school, man.
What?
That's very cool,
What?
right? Now there's a lot. No, hey guys, and whatever you're into, there's stuff for you too. Whatever you're into, learn about it, become good at it. Otherwise, your job's gonna choose you. You know, when you get out of high school, if that's all you do, then yeah, go get a job at Jimmy John's or something. But that's not really what you want to do for your whole life. Probably, you want to choose what you want to do, and the way to choose is to purposefully plan and decide now, starting now, what are the kinds of classes you want to take to get you ready for it. It's pretty cool. Any questions so far? No? Okay, let me tell you. After I went to college, I took a 2-year break. I got an airplane and I flew, and an airplane, because of wind currents and things, actually flies up and around, and I landed on a little peninsula on the east side of Asia, a country called
South Korea.
Korea. Very good. Yeah, South Korea, not North Korea. They probably would have killed me if I went to North Korea. I was in South Korea for 2 years. South Korea looks kind of like this. This is me here. I spent most of my time in a place called Busan, which was in a big city. Again, this is me. And then I went back to BYU. Is that the bell?
No, it's not. That's why we're up. No, that's the bell.
Hey, guys, is that the bell?
Yeah.
Wow! All right, ladies and gents, let's go to college, have an awesome life, and we will see you next time. Peace!
You went to South Korea, Washington University back in Missouri.
I'm editing the help those that need it.
Which one?
Help